Hi, good afternoon, parents. Thank you for taking time to join us for this town hall. So the title for today's sharing is a shift in Admiralty Primary School approach towards the use of personal learning devices. All right, parents, please take note that today's session will be recorded and the recording will be made available in our school website. Right, so just give us some time to work on the recording. So it probably will be ready next week. Okay, so let's get started. So thank you for joining us again. Once again, thank you for joining us. So let's go to our proper sharing proper. Okay, so maybe let me just start with showing you this. Sorry, you're seeing my screen, so you see the prompt. Okay, so we will start with this one-to-one program. Okay, we all know that in Admiralty Primary School, we have this one-to-one iPad program. So here we say, we call it one-to-one computing program. Okay, now let's take a look at this data. Where did we get this data from? It's actually a survey conducted by the Ministry of Digital Development and Information sometime in February 2025. Right, so let's take a look at the data. If you look at the header, right, it says here that the average time, all right, in terms of percentage that childs spend on digital devices for leisure activity. So for primary school, we are looking at these two categories, age 7 to 9, as well as age 10 to 12. So if you take a look at this boxed up numbers, all right, so with the legend here, you will see that our children they have exceeded MOH daily screen time limit, all right, of the recommendation is actually about 2 hours. Later on, you will see another slides for recommended number of hours. Now, so why are we looking at this data here? Because we probably want to look at the current climate. From the survey itself, right, we realize that our children, they are definitely using devices, and the amount of time it's actually too much. All right, from the recommendation. So maybe I'll just show the next slide first. Then we say, okay, actually from the survey itself, right, there are a few summary, a few points. Okay, so number one is that actually 9 out of 10 parents say that they actually put some measures or some steps in controlling the children's use of devices. However, all right, it also shows that only 37% of our parents feel that they are confident about their ability to guide their children in the use of digital tools. Yeah, so here it says many of our parents, we feel that we have a lack of confidence in guiding our children's digital habits, and they are crying out for help. Okay, so this is actually the survey. So actually there is a discrepancy lah, I would say. The children, all right, we wanted them to use the device for learning, but yet we are not able to help the children, all right, to manage the use. Okay, so this is actually what happened. So as mentioned earlier on, I talk about Grow Well SG, right? Sometime in beginning of the year, MOH actually came out with this, recommended, there are some guidelines, okay, on the use of screen time for children. So we are looking at this category, 7 to 12 years old. It is recommended that our children use less than 2 hours of screen a day, unless it's related to schoolwork. So remember just now we look at the survey, the children are using more than 2 hours on leisure activity. Imagine we add on with schoolwork, the number of hours will really be quite a lot, okay? So over here, there are some recommendation. Now, based on the data that we looked at just now, we are also asking ourselves, are we confident that our admirals are in safe hands when they are at home? Because in school, we have the device usage policy. So the teachers and the students, we follow the policy very closely. So they are definitely in safe hands. However, when the children are home without adult supervision, are they really safe? So that's actually our concern, which is also the concern of many of our parents, right? So maybe let me just share with you what is actually the MOE policies, okay, when it comes to PLD. So PLD actually stands for Personal Learning Device, okay? So in Admiralty Primary, we are using iPad. So when we talk about PLD, we are referring to the use of iPad. Now, we all know that at the end of P2, for the past 10 years, actually, at the end of P2, we engage our parents and we actually engage parents and then ask if they would like their children to come on board our one-to-one computing program. And if they come on board the program, the parents will actually buy a personal device, learning device, which is an iPad for their children. And these children will actually bring the iPad to school every day, starting from P3. The initial years, the children are only required to bring the iPad for both P3 and P4 level. But later part of the program, which is more recent years, the past few years. So we realized that parents have already purchased the device. Why not we use it for P5 and 6 as well? So actually currently, our P3 to P6 children, many of them are bringing iPad to school for their personal learning. All right. Now, however, so this slide here, let me just highlight MOE policy, okay, is that primary school children do not, all right, they do not or they are not required to bring their personal learning devices like iPad or tablet to school daily. So this is MOE policy. So what implication does it have for schools like Admiralty Primary when we have one-to-one, all right, program? So in alignment with MOE policy, we are also gradually telling the children to not bring their learning device to school. So I'll give you a little bit more information at the later slides. So why is there such a policy for children not to bring their personal learning device to school on a daily basis? Actually, the focus, because we all know that for primary school children, the focus is really building strong foundational skills through a variety of learning experiences. And we all know that at primary school, there will be a lot of activities, hands-on activities for the children. There will be a lot of face-to-face collaboration in school. And there will be concrete learning. We make use of manipulatives. And all these are very crucial to the holistic development of young children. So what we want is that we would like to have a balance. We would like to bring all this back, all right, to the classroom and also to have a closer supervision in the use of digital devices. Okay, so rationale for not bringing personal learning device to school. It will be a deliberate and phased approach. Okay, like what I mentioned, we will not tell your children to stop bringing the device to school, all right, immediately. So it will be a phased approach. And for Admiralty, as mentioned, in alignment with MOE policy, all right, with regards to the use of technology, our admirals, all right, all our admirals will not need to bring any iPad to school starting, I would say, okay, next year, 2026, only the P4 admirals will bring the iPad to school. P5 and 6, they will bring upon the request of the teachers. And what is it for the P2 parents? There is no need for you to purchase any more iPad to get your children to bring to school at P3 anymore. So there is no need for you to opt into our one-to-one computing program. There's no need for you to buy a device for your child to bring to school every day. Yes, but nothing stops you from buying a device to support your children's learning at home. Okay, so later on, I will share a little bit more about Admiralty supporting your children with school-issued device for school use. Okay. Now, Admiralty, these are some of the consideration in alignment with the MOE policy, right? So number one, of course, as mentioned, there is a shift in the learning priorities. Now, the role of technology, all right, is being re-evaluated after post-pandemic. Okay, so now we are back to the classrooms. So we would like to have a more balanced approach. Okay, promoting in-person collaborations. Okay, now, and of course, the second consideration that we have would be the developmental appropriateness. Younger children learn best, right, with tactile interactive experiences. So face-to-face collaboration, hands-on activities, manipulatives, they are really important for the children's development. So we are we would look into we do not want the over-reliance of digital device at a young age, all right? So that is another consideration that we have. And of course, the third consideration we have is we are all aware, and parents concerned, screen time. We talk about screen time, we talk about game addiction. So these are potential distraction when the child has a personal device. So, and this distraction actually affects their learning, okay, for both the children as well as their peers. So we would like to also minimize the amount of distraction, all right, to the children's learning. And of course, it goes to the student well-being, as in increase the survey have shown that there's increased screen time for the children. They're using devices for long hours on a daily basis. So well-being is compromised. So we would like to also really pay close attention to the children's well-being. And of course, lastly, very importantly, is that previously we have our one-to-one computing program. So all the children, most of the children who opted into the program will bring their own devices. So it makes teaching and learning more effective. We say that, okay, we try to make it more effective. And previously, we did not have the ability to provide this so-called one-to-one. We do not have this provision for all the children. So with the children being device really help in the TNL. However, with the ministry's policy of children not requiring to bring devices to school, there is an increased provision of devices. So the good news is Admiralty will be able to provide one-to-one access, meaning to say your child will be supported by a school-issued iPad. So we will have enough iPad for all the children, P3, all right, specifically for your kid, to use in the classroom. These devices will be parked in the classroom with the teachers, so they will be able to access them. That would mean that your child will be able to use iPad anytime, all right, in school without having to bring their own personal iPad. So this is made possible with MOE increased provision of devices. Yeah, previously our ratio, we are not able to do it. Previously, it's actually 3.5 student to one device. But moving forward, we'll be able to cater to one-to-one. Okay? Right. So since we are still able to support the children with the increased provision, children are able to use one-to-one, and there's no worry about children who opt out of the program not having iPad. So are they being disadvantaged? So there's no worry about that because there will be equity in terms of teaching and learning. Now, since they are supported by school-issued device, the digital literacy development of the child will not be compromised, right? And we all know that digital literacy is explicitly taught through the character and citizenship education curriculum, all right? And in this curriculum, the children are taught safe and responsible use of technology. They learn to be discerning online, use online information, all right? Knowing what are some of the reliable sources and being able to, how do I say, they are critical consumer of online content. They know what is reliable, what is the fake news and fake information online. So they will be more discerning user. And of course, we will also teach them how to balance both online and offline activities. The curriculum will emphasize the importance of healthy balance between screen time as well as other activities. So this will be explicitly taught in the classroom, okay? Okay, as mentioned, resource provisioning. Now, we will continue to provide facilitate digital learning in school. So number one, we mentioned school-owned devices. We have carts of laptops, and as mentioned, the P3s will be supported with iPad. Every child will be supported with an iPad to be used in the classroom. Okay, now we also have computer labs in the school. So if there is specific lessons whereby the teacher need to make use of the lab, the child will be brought to the lab as well. And we do have this portal called the Singapore Student Learning Space, the SLS. It is a learning portal that has got rich repository of curriculum aligned resources. By now, I think because your child is in P2, you would have seen some of these resources, the children would have been doing work on SLS. Yeah, so this will continue to be the platform that we will be using for digital learning. Yes, and of course in our school, we have subscribed to Kubits. So Kubits is another online learning portal whereby the children will be learning the subject mathematics, right? So these are some of the resource provisioning that we will have, all right, moving forward. Now, and of course, we are saying that we would like to balance digital and non-digital learning, right? So we want to have the use of PLD in the classroom, and we want face-to-face collaboration, manipulative learning. So we balance that. Then some parents will be wondering, then what about homework? Because you would know that some teachers would have assigned online, or we call it digital work, to your children. So we will be conscious in terms of assignment of digital work, and we will engage the teachers, and we will work together to make sure that if there's any digital work to be given to your children, longer deadlines, all right, we must make sure that we give longer deadlines. We will work on the recommendation of minimally 2 days so that the children do not have to rush through the work, because for lower primary children, many of you will actually assist or you guide your child after work, which means that the children will get access to devices only in the evening. So if in the evening you use digital work, then it will probably eat into their bedtime. Yeah, if they are waiting for daddy and mommy to come back and help them with work. So we will work on giving longer deadlines, minimally 2 days, so that the children can spread out the work and parents do not have to rush home to assist the children in terms of digital work. Yeah, this is something that we will make sure we look into. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the transition period. So just now I was mentioning, so I repeat myself, P2 parents, you do not need to opt into our one-to-one computing program anymore. All right. So your children will be in primary 3 in 2026. All right. Your child do not need to bring any device to school for learning. So no more iPad to be brought to school daily. So you take a look. So there is a cross here. Your child will be at P3. So no need to bring any iPad to school. The school will support your children with school-issued iPad. However, the iPad can only be used in the school during curriculum hours. They will not be loaned out, meaning your children will not bring home the school-issued iPad. Yes, so looking at this, you will see that we are in alignment with MOE policy of primary school children not bringing iPad to school. So starting 2026 onwards, P1 to 3 do not bring device to school anymore. However, some of you may have children at primary 3 level. So they have already purchased an iPad and using the iPad for the whole of this year. So for this group of children, they will be in primary 4 next year. They will continue to bring their iPad. So I told you that earlier on that it will be a phased out approach, right? So next year, the P4 will continue to bring the iPad. However, in 2027, this group of P4 children, they will be at P5 level. And that is when they will stop bringing their iPad to school. And does it mean that they don't use iPad anymore? No, they will be supported, all right, with a school-issued iPad. Okay, so if you take a look at this table, in 2026, only P4 students will bring iPad to school for learning. The rest of the level will be supported by school-issued devices. Yes, and from 2027 onwards, no children is required. All Admiralties do not bring iPad to school anymore. It will be supported by school-issued devices. Okay? Right. So what are some of the support that we can offer during the transition? We will be engaging parents, all right, especially for those of you who have got P4 and 5 or even 6 children who are using iPad in class currently. We will engage parents, all right. We will provide clear timelines, and we will make sure we send out all the necessary info either via PG, all right, or the teacher preferred class communication platform. So that will be one support that we can offer. If there's any clarification that you need regarding the new shift in our approach, all right, using PLD or our iPad, you can always contact the school, leave your contact number, and we will get back to you, all right? And of course, for P4 children who are using the iPad, your children are continuing to bring iPad, there will be some options that parents need to make. So again, more information will be given at the beginning of the year. For P2 parents, for all of you, your children will be in P3. There's no actions required on your part. Yeah, there's no need for you to sign up for anything or to carry out any kind of how would I say or any actions. There's no actions required on your part. Yeah, okay. Then parental control. Okay, as mentioned, we do not need you to buy an iPad for your children to bring to school. However, if you are buying an iPad to support your children's learning at home and you need help from the school for parental control because you want to support, you believe that the use of technology is still valuable in your child's learning, and you would like to buy an iPad and keep the iPad at home for your children to continue their learning, and you want the school to help you with parental control, let us know. We will engage you and we will go through what are some of the restrictions that you can set on your child's home iPad, personal iPad, all right, to help you with parental control. Okay? Right, so these are some of the things that the school would like parents to help us reinforce at home. Okay, now your involvement is really crucial in guiding the children in becoming responsible digital citizens. Now, these are some of the ways. Many years back, we actually, maybe about 2-3 years ago, we conducted town hall for cyber wellness. So these are some of the pointers that we have actually shared with parents, what you can do at home to support your children's digital literacy journey. Okay, we picked up a few points and we would like to reinforce some of these points with you today. So number one is to engage the children in open conversation. Do find time to talk to your children about their online experiences because our children, be it playing online games or on any, by right, the children are not supposed to be on social media platform because all social media, minimally, they need to be of 13 years of age. But many of our children, they are on social media. Many of your children, although they are P2, they are already on WhatsApp because some of them are holding handphone, right? So please do engage in open conversation with your children to talk about their online experiences. What have they been using, their devices? How have they been using it? How do they feel about things? Okay, and it is important to have conversation because in case they are exposed to any form of online danger, children not being aware they are exposed to the danger, right? But by telling parents, then you can pick up, you may be able to pick up the signal of your child, maybe being exposed to certain things that are not supposed to be. So it's very important to engage your children in conversation. Then, of course, set clear boundaries. Of course, MOH recommend 2 hours of screen time, but it did mention about excluding homework. So if your child is using the device, do establish rules for screen time. So 2 hours, does it include, is it all just for leisure or does it include digital work as well, like homework? So have some form of rules. And also, do you use 2 hours straight on? That will be tiring for the eyes, right? So you may want to have rules like, okay, you use 1 hour, you need to have a eye rest for 30 minutes before you come back to the screen again. So you will need to establish, it will be good for you to establish some rules for screen time and also what type of content they can access at home. We also did mention that rules could also be at which part of the house should your child be using the device. Probably we will not encourage the children to be hiding in their bedroom and using the device, right? So you may want to have certain rules like, okay, if you are using your iPad or if you are using the laptop, then make sure you are at common area, in the house. So these are some of the rules that you can actually establish at home. Then, of course, explore and learn together. Yes, explore certain educational apps with the children, because there will be some apps that are really, really useful to help your children in their learning. Discover it with your children, and do it with them if possible. Then, and finally, we seek parents' help to model good digital habits. For example, if your rule is no device during mealtime, then it would be good if parents also put their devices aside, our handphone aside, during mealtime, so that we set a positive role model for our children in terms of the use of technology. Yeah, so this would be some of the things. Now, for more information, okay, you can actually contact us in the some of this, okay, a few ways. You can actually write to me, all right, myself, Christy. This is my email address. And I do have an associate, ICT associate, Miss Shamila. You can also contact the school and reach out to her. You can call us, you can write email to us. And of course, you can also write to the school generic email. Okay, so these are all listed. You can reach out to us, or you can drop a message by calling the general office. We will return your call as soon as possible. Yes, and of course, regarding policy, school policy, our school have got an acceptable device use policy, which is printed in the student handbook. This year, we have done some refinement to the policy, so it will be printed in the handbook as well. So take a look at the 2026 handbook. The device use policy will be there. That's Admiralty device use policy. Okay, and you can also refer to the school website for information on the policy. And of course, for broader national policies, the Ministry of Education website is a valuable resource. So there are a lot of information there for parents with regards to the use of technology. And there are also quite a number of tips for parents in terms of the support that we can offer our children at home. Okay, so this is the one. So with that, okay, I will end my presentation. So if there's any questions, let me just stop my sharing. Yeah. So maybe I summarize the whole thing. Actually, the important points for today's sharing is number one, P2 parents do not need to opt into our iPad program anymore. There's no option to opt in anymore. Number two, P3 children in 2026 do not need to bring iPad to school for learning. All right. School has got increased provision of devices. So we will be supporting P3 children with a one-to-one access program. So every child will be supported with an iPad for learning. Yep. Any questions from parents?
Parents, this is Mr. Chen here. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and thanks to Madam Christie for explaining to us about some of the shifts in our approach. Maybe while you are still thinking about some of the questions, if any of you have got questions, is what does it, I think let's think about it from the perspective of what does it mean for us as parents, in short, for my child, right? And the idea here is basically like what has been emphasized by Madam Christie, is that now you don't need to, in the past, we will say because of the program of the school, by the time this year, we are actually briefing parents on purchasing of the iPads, what kind of devices you're supposed to buy, especially if you have children who have either graduated from our school or are in the higher levels, in the older levels, is also then, okay, when it comes to time for next year, we'll be collecting the iPads, putting in all the MDMs and everything, all right? This year, you don't need to worry about all these things really, okay? So I hope that it is also a huge mental load of parents. You don't need to worry about these things. The idea is, hence, I think over the years, we have been shifting our approach. This year, we are able to do this also with that support from the ministry to say that in terms of resourcing in our classrooms, we can get the sufficient devices for our students to be using in the classroom from the P3 level and above, if the lesson requires it. So we leave it to the teachers. The teachers usually will have their own lessons to decide which lessons make sense for us to use devices in the classroom and which lessons actually we don't need to. right? The usual PowerPoint or the whiteboards and the way pen and paper and all, that's perfectly fine. So it is a hybrid approach, depending on how the teachers have decided what they want to do for that particular lesson. But what we are seeing moving forward is basically because of the additional provisions and resourcing that we have, we don't need students to buy their iPads anymore, right? And that will really save parents yourself a hassle. On top of that, I think what was shared earlier, naturally, it will also help us be a bit more assured to say that children being children, sometimes are they able to control themselves so well when they have the access, the unfettered access to the iPad, right, for the whole day. Of course, we do have our concerns as well. Even for a school like Admiralty, that we have been running this one-to-one program for many years, while the data that shows for us generally has been healthy, we have been able to have this under control because our processes have been in place. So schools that were thinking about coming on board one-to-one, in the past they had a pilot program at the ministry side, and the ministry side decided that they will not make it a one-to-one for the primary levels. But they mentioned that schools like Admiralty, for example, because we have already been running this program for many years, we have the structures in place. It's okay for us to continue if we wish to. But of course, their own advice to the school is that we make sure that we continue to tighten our cyber wellness, tighten our controls for our students. And that's what we have been doing over the years. And hence, I think what we have decided to come on board is to say that with this kind of provisioning, don't need for parents at the end of P2 going to P3 to purchase anymore. Where it's required in the classroom, students, we will be able to have the iPads for them for the lessons. Don't need really, everything will be collected back, not to worry. The children will not have gain access to the iPads without our permission. And the most important thing is they won't be bringing these iPads home, right? I think worry from some of the parents is that especially if my child, I do not have that kind of time and control over how they'll be using the devices at home. I hope this is also an assurance to parents. Then you don't need to worry. There is another school of thought. Some parents, I know that you feel your child, you have already put in place certain structures and routines with them. They are able to follow your rule of saying that each day maximum use of iPad 1 hour, and they can control themselves. That's great. And if your choice is that you wish to purchase an iPad for your child to use at home after school, that is your right to do so. Feel free to think about it, how you want to do, and you can then approach school should you need our advice on how to set certain controls at home with your children. Okay, so that is the kind of approach that we will have. In school, let the school settle in terms of the ICT portion, in terms of the devices, or whether we bring them to the computer labs or not. At home, we will leave it to the parents. We will work with you on that. If you need our advice at home in terms of some apps or other certain things that you can install, you can approach us. Also, I hope that helps. Meaning that the older levels, the P4s, especially just now what was mentioned by Madam Christie, next year's P4s, because they have already purchased the iPad this year, we also don't want the iPads to go to waste. So next year, naturally, we will say that these P3s going up to P4s, they have already had that routine coming from the school. We are saying that generally they should be okay continuing with this iPad program next year. But if you have concerns for your own child, I think like what we said, different children, different approaches. If you have concerns for your own child, we can understand, approach us, approach the form teacher. Then we will hear you out and we see whether we want to not let your child bring the iPad to school. Not to worry, if your child is not bringing the iPad to school, there are other ways for us to also make sure that there is a provision for your child. So your child won't lose out. And in fact, then if you want to have the iPad and you say that you restrict the access for your child to the iPad, then that is something that we will leave you to decide together with your child, your own family rules in that sense. Okay, so I wanted to assure parents that flexibility depends on your own assessment of your own child. We will also have our own assessment, and then we can actually talk together and say whether, how would you like to approach for your child moving forward. Okay, Kat? I hope that explains that part. Okay, we see a
Right.
couple of questions.
Yeah, I see a question that's asking about whether there's any special app that parents need to download for school homework at home in P3 onwards. For lower primary P1 to 3, in fact, all levels, we will be using the SLS, which was mentioned earlier on. Most of the time, there will be no special app required. However, for example, at the upper primary, if we are asking the children to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, then really we leave it to the children to decide. They can use Canva, they can use Google Slides. Yeah, so we will not actually require a special app unless for a very specific reason, then we will inform parents and we will reach out to you to see what we can do for the special app, but we will not require any special app for now. Yeah. Any other questions that oops. Okay. So is it okay to skip some SLS assignment to reduce screen time? Okay. When the teacher assign a SLS assignment, right, I think the teacher would have think through very carefully that it is actually a lesson that is necessary to be completed. So not to worry, as mentioned earlier on, we will actually advise the teacher to give you a longer duration to complete that piece of work to make sure that the screen time is not compromised. I mean, as in we won't make the children, stare at the screen for so long. So if let's say there's SLS work, we can actually give your child a week, 2 weeks, or even a month, depending on the kind of task that the children are doing. So you do not have to worry about screen time. But really, if a SLS lesson is assigned, strongly encouraged to complete it because the teacher would have, look through, think through carefully and really think that it is necessary before assigning that piece of work to your child. Yeah. So how to determine which e-assignment is optional or compulsory? It will be communicated. Yeah, the teacher will communicate it with your child in the classroom. So that one, your children will probably have to, or if let's say your child is not sure, then please ask. Do raise the question, teacher, is it a must that I have to do it? Maybe sometimes, for example, at lower primary, we do big book for social studies. We can also assign the storybook on SLS because in class we read the book once. So you may think, the child may think that, oh, I've read the book in class, therefore I do not need to go online. I do not need to go to SLS to read the book. However, we assign the book to your child on SLS. So anytime if your child would like to read the book again, then your child has the, the freedom to do it and learn it at his own pace or her own pace. So being optional or compulsory, this one will be communicated by the teacher. Okay. Are they graded or meant for self-direct? No, we do not grade the children in terms of self-directed learning and all. We will help the children to develop this curiosity in learning and also to have this habit or to have this self-directed learning kind of disposition. Yeah, but we won't grade them for self-directed learning, not to worry. Yeah, not at least for now, we don't, right? We have no intention, right? Yeah, for then how parents know that there's digital homework? 2 days due date, is it too short? Oh, as mentioned, this is just an example. 2 days is just an example. It can be a week, can be a month. So depending on the task itself. How do you know whether there's digital work? Okay, we do have a handbook, remember just I mentioned. So most of the teacher, we actually require our children to write down the work that they have for the day on their handbook. So you can actually work with your children. So at the beginning of the year, when you get the handbook, you can actually talk to the kid because it's actually by dates, right? It's dated. So you can just flip to the date, the page where the date is indicated to see if there's any work. So most of the teacher will do that. Yeah. So that you will know. And then of course, you can actually get your children to write down whether is it SLS. Usually if it's SLS, the teacher will tell the child. So they will actually indicate that it's SLS work. Yeah. Then, and of course, some teachers, they have got their own communication platform with parents. And sometimes they do, inform the parents that there is digital work. So depending on the communication platform that the teacher have established with the parents. Okay, some parents work long hours, reach home yes, so we understand. That's why we're saying that yes, we will give longer deadlines so that you can probably when weekend you are at home, then you can assist your child with the work. So hope that will help parents with yeah, long working hours and parents who work late into the night. As mentioned, the app, no special app for now. And okay, is there any questions that I missed out? That's all. Yeah, if you have
Yes,
any more
Madam
questions.
Christie, I think the second question on how
Which
parents know
one?
that when to bring the iPads for
Ah,
for
okay. Okay, did I miss that? Okay. So for the P5s, the teacher will make announcement in the classroom. And for example, if for example, myself, I have a class dojo with my parents. So I will tell the children, okay, tomorrow we're going to do a termly check-in. Can all of you please bring your iPad? And I will actually announce it in class dojo for my parents to know that I have actually made a request for my student to bring the iPad. And what is the purpose for bringing the iPad? I will indicate very clearly. So that is something that I actually have been practicing. So moving forward, we will work with the teachers. So again, at the beginning of the year, our teachers will be engaging parents, right? So it will be good for us to actually check with the teacher what kind of communication platform and how things will be done for that particular class.
So if I may also then just add on to what Madam Chan has mentioned, I think this part about a communication between the teachers and the parents is extremely important. So even if let's say teachers do not go by class dojo to inform the parents about when to bring the iPads, for our upper primary students, definitely in the classroom, the teachers will inform the students themselves. They say, okay, tomorrow teacher is going to do something regarding this particular lesson. I would like all of you to bring your iPads. Of course, I think naturally there will be some students who may have forgotten to write inside their handbook. They may not bring tomorrow, the next day and all. Generally, then what we will do sometimes is also between students to students, it's okay for them to also share the iPads in that sense. We are prepared for a lot of the screen usage and all to be done collaboratively as well. Well, this is something that I've been discussing with my team also. Actually, a lot of the things that we do wish to do is not always ideal whereby each child is having a one-to-one access to the device and they are just working on the device themselves without the discussions with their friends. In fact, some of the lessons that do take place is we don't require a one-to-one kind of lesson like that. Sometimes it's a 1:2 or 1:3. One student will be the one who is actually typing, the rest are actually discussing, then the person who is the scribe is the one who's actually taking down the points. Also, I think there are many different ways of doing this. And in addition to that, also the teachers have got access to borrowing some of the iPads. So just hopefully that answers the question. The teachers will inform the students, but even failing which, if students do forget to bring, hopefully the students don't forget to bring. But if they do forget to bring, I think there are other ways that teachers will work around it. Then I think to that part about making sure there is sufficient time given to the students to complete their work. Point noted. Thanks for that feedback. We will constantly also remind the teachers so that we give sufficient time. Also understanding perfectly well, I think parents, you all are busy. If let's say in a household, the device is with the parents, you all are at work, you will not be able to, the child will not have access to that. So we will give sufficient timeline and deadlines for students to complete their work. So thanks for raising that.
So may I just add on? Actually, good news is I will be able to support all P5 with an iPad as well. So chances of P5 student needing to bring their iPad to school, it's also the chances will be low lah, because I will be able to support the P5 as well. So in 2026, we are supporting the P3, the P5 with an iPad for each student. Yes, we have the increased provision given by MOE. Yeah. Then P4, they will be bringing their own iPad. So the number that requires support from the school is actually very small, right? So probably P6 will be the one that the teacher will be asking them to bring the iPad if necessary. Yeah. Is there any other questions? It's okay if you have questions after today's session. You can always write to us, all right? So the 3 emails that was shared with you, or you can just give us a call. Then we will contact you, then we can have a conversation over the phone. Yeah. If you have more questions and if there's anything that you would like to ask specifically for your child, so just let us know. Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Chen? Anything? If not, we will end today's session. So yes, we will make the recording available next week. Right. Thank you, parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, parents. Thanks for your time. Yeah.